Welcome to the Investor Coaching Show, a podcast to help you get an insider's view of the financial world and escape common investment traps. And here's your host, Paul Winkler.
And welcome. This is the Investor Coaching Show, and I am Paul Winkler. And she is Arlene Brown. That's who she is. All right. Looks like you've been studying the new disaster to overtake Washington and the country. I say disaster. It will be made out as a disaster by Republicans. It will be made out as the godsend by Democrats. And
one thing though that is very clear is that how climate change is really the priority.
It is, and as investors, we wonder, is this the end of the world? It just means that certain companies are going to really do well, Leviticus.
Yes,
He's shaking his head yes, and I'm going, value stocks, small value stocks are now up for the year. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You look at it and you go figure, who'd have thunk, after all of this mess that we've gone through. But, you get certain things like this, and it's not the stock market's waiting for it to be implemented to respond to it. It responded in advance.
Well, yeah, look.
As I always say.
Yeah, and they were like, who is the winners and who are the losers? Well,
that has been much debated, and I'm sure that you're going to talk about that.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's
she's ready. She has
actually.
note cards and everything.
Oh, hush.
Does she have note
Look at all
cards?
those notes. She's ready for you, Paul.
No. no, nobody's ready for me, man.
No, that is not true.
Look at me
That is
starting
not true.
something.
See, he's Paul Winkler. I am Arlene Brown.
You do not know.
Okay.
You do not know. Now, what was this with Johnny B picking on me on the radio yesterday?
Yeah, he was.
I heard that.
He was.
I thought he was my friend.
He is.
I know
all
he
in
is.
fun.
He is.
All in fun.
He is my friend.
You know what?
I was texting Dan Mandis, and he was just laughing his head off.
You know what? The best way to do
What?
this is to ask you first and put you on the spot.
No.
So what do you think?
No. I like flying by the seat of my pants. So, what's so? Okay, so hit the bill. Tell me things that you think are interesting in this.
Well, what do you think about the 1% tax?
I think it's no big deal.
buyback? Well, that's what I think as well.
Okay.
And actually,
so explain to them what that is.
Well,
Okay.
it's like, companies usually repurchase when they are sitting on big cash. Okay, they want.
Yeah. What do? We make a profit. We sit there on that profit and we go, well, we could send this back to the shareholders,
Okay.
which is a
dividends, but only
which is double taxed.
36% goes to dividends. Okay, and then 54% actually most companies are.
And what does the other 10% go to?
Where?
you said 36 and
Reinvestment.
and 54%.
Reinvestment. Okay.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
that's
all right.
why.
I was like going, wait a minute, my math skills. Either that or she's not making this add up.
She
That's
has
why
no cards.
I
You better
said it's
beware.
not really a big deal.
That's true.
Because it used to be actually the original was 2%.
Yeah.
Back in
You mean dividends?
No, 2% tax on buybacks. So
There was a 2% buyback before?
Yeah, proposal. Joe Biden.
the proposal. The proposal. I thought you meant that there used to be one. I was like, no, I don't remember anything
Joe
like that.
Biden
Okay, I'm with you now.
actually, back in September 17, 2016,
Okay.
he wrote op-ed.
So it's
Wall Street Journal.
we cut it in half. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
well, so it could have been worse. 2%.
But so to explain to people what this is all about. So you take profits, you pay them back to the shareholders, and I kiddingly say, sometimes people go, "Oh, you need dividend-paying stocks," and I go, "What? You want companies that pay a lot of their profits back to the shareholders because they don't know anything better to do with their money?" Is that a really good idea? I don't think so. Maybe I want companies to have something better to do with their money. So what they do is they plow it back into the company and they grow the company. That's the other thing. They do retained earnings. The third option, which was used quite often, is, heck with you, we're buying back shares. We're gonna take the pie that's cut in 8 pieces, and we're gonna cut it into 6 pieces. So we're gonna get rid of two of the pieces, so to speak, or buy it back, so to speak. And then what will happen is each pie piece will be bigger. Okay, so instead, if you could reverse cut a pie from 8 pieces to 6 pieces, you can imagine that the 6 pieces, each of the pieces would be larger than the 8 pieces were.
Supposedly.
Well, that's the idea, right? I mean, unless the pie magically grew or shrunk. But that's the idea, is that. And they say, 1% tax on it. We're going to try to really get you guys for buying back your shares. I think it's just it's a show of, hey, look, we're doing something. And we're going to get those big corporate, big corporate.
You have to check the why. What was the rationale behind that 1%? Because their thing is that most CEOs.
Am I going to get the rationality behind this? I'm going to sit back. I want to hear this one.
Most CEOs, they're saying that, hey, CEOs are manipulating. They are trying to increase the share price. Okay.
Sure. Well, what a horrible thing.
Because their compensation is made up of 60%.
But their owners are us, the shareholders, and we don't like them very much if they don't increase share price too.
What they are saying, but how come only 10% in reinvestment when it could have been more on reinvestment and
10%? What do you mean 10% reinvestment?
Of the revenue
of the earnings go back so only 10% go back.
Go to
because
there is none.
There
are a lot of regulations that they are also.
The regulations. I mean, the issue is you have to have things that you want to reinvest in.
That's true,
and opportunities for growth. Mm-hmm. And if you don't see that you have something that you want to invest in, you're wasting that money. You're nodding your head, yes. Yes, you agree.
Yeah,
okay, all right, yeah, all right.
But then if you can't find because of too much regulations,
right,
then why should you reinvest? Then just buy back shares.
Right. So regulations
is a big thing.
Well, yeah. What about the ESG thing?
Oh, that's exactly.
Are you talking about? That's what you're talking about?
Yes,
okay, so
that's exactly.
So you saw that as well. So they're basically making American companies do what European companies have been doing, and Democrats are just basically saying, "This is fine. We're just going to make American companies do what European companies been doing all along." And I'm looking at it going, "Well, European companies, they're not quite getting it. They're not doing that well." Now, does this mean that the stock market it's bad, for the stock market? No, I don't want you to get the impression.
No, companies always adapt.
They will adapt. But the thing is how they will adapt will not be necessarily the way Washington wants it to happen.
Well, that's exactly what there's just too much regulation. That's exactly what Jamie Dimon from Goldman Sachs was like saying, what are you talking about? Because remember back in a couple of months ago, he was supposed to buy back shares.
Okay.
And because of regulations, the FSAC was saying no because capital requirements on stress test. Okay, but because of climate change.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they was
not because of fiscal responsibility.
No. Because of climate change.
She gets so emotional. I love
it. So he was like saying,
listen to her.
Well, what are you talking about? The weather has never in all history caused financial panic. So what are you talking about? What it's like arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah.
For FSAC to tell us how to run the business.
That's a hoot. I mean that is true. That is so dead on.
Yeah. So
it's just absurd. And I look at it and I go, as an investor, I just go, well, you know what? Basically, the company's just gonna if things go south, they're going to lay off people. They're going to reduce costs. The stock price is going to be great. It's So I don't talk about this stuff. I don't want people to get nervous as investors.
I
want them to get that there's
no. That's what I'm saying.
I'm very two sides of this equation in my mind. It's always been.
It's not a big deal.
It is not a big deal as an investor, as an American, and as a person that likes to see the country do well. It just bugs me when I see this kind of stuff. But as an investor, I sit there and go, I've some of the worst times that we've had in this nation's history. I remember the 1970s. Stock market returns were just phenomenal. Late 1970s, and people go, "Wait a minute, Paul? No, that was Gardner." Yeah, that was a terrible time. It was a terrible time economically, but you had great returns in the stock market. You really had phenomenal stuff going on. You look at the mid 90s, and see, you had weird things going on, but the stock market did great.
Yeah.
Markets find a way.
1982, 32%.
Yeah, yeah. Phenomenal
83,
returns.
22%. Okay.
So what else about the bill is kind of capturing your attention?
How about the 15% minimum tax?
15% minimum tax. I had actually seen that as far as how that will impact companies from a return and a revenue standpoint, it's not much.
No, not that's right.
It's more, I think it's more showmanship. Again.
Because it's only how many companies are affected.
I don't remember seeing what that was. Did you?
Well, Amazon.
I knew that. I knew Amazon. Yeah.
So
I was gonna
Tesla
say
5.3, Ford 4.3.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah, it's going to be the big ones.
Yeah, the big ones, because it's really $1 billion. See.
So the average American investor that over concentrates in that area would be affected.
And just remember, it's $1 billion
not
of net income. It's EBITDA, actually. It's EBITDA.
Yeah. Earnings before
taxes
and
depreciation. Okay.
Yeah.
So
she's talking like all this gibberish over there. We got to straighten her out here, Leviticus.
Round one.
Like nobody knows what that is.
Round one.
So no, not really a big deal. How it will affect the global 15% tax? There's no connection.
Okay, pharmaceuticals.
Well, pharmaceuticals.
So basically, what it is Medicare gets to negotiate. And actually,
it's more in the insulin, 35.
They're like 15 drugs or something, or 8 drugs or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Which is really.
But they're looking, and most Americans are. Actually, I saw polling on it. It was literally even Democrat and Republican for that aspect of the bill.
Because insulin is very expensive, and now they are capping it to $35 a month for Medicare recipients. But it's not extended to us. To private insurance recipients.
Right. It's just people over 65.
Yeah.
So what will happen is people under 65 will probably pay for it.
Drug companies are, there are the losers now, not exactly.
So as an investor, this has a negative impact on pharmaceuticals. And this is one of those case in points of why you don't bet on any sector of the stock market.
That's why you have to diversify.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, bam, you got something that comes about just like that, and it has a negative effect. Now, interestingly, Reader's Digest.
Okay.
I saw that because the Reader's Digest actually had this thing. It's kind of funny about drug companies. You know that they're actually the placebo cure is a fascinating, and people every time I say that Reader's Digest, people look at me and go, "That's still around?"
No, I have that.
They
I was going to say something, but I kept it to myself.
A lot of people say that to me, Leviticus.
No, I'm
That's
just
still around?
shocked that you have a physical copy in your hand right now.
I love Reader's Digest.
Actually, I'm not
Seriously,
shocked.
I do.
It's you.
They
I read everything.
They
I read
actually
everything.
offer 4 books in a
Well, what's interesting is that you have a lot of doctors actually prescribing placebos. And in America, I won't read it or anything like that, but in America, what's fascinating is that placebos are working better than they are in other areas around the world. And they're thinking because where the drug treatments are done are fancier than other areas around the world, people have this psychological kind of, the placebo effects, basically what that is. The placebo, you have something that it's like sugar in a pill. And, people take it, and then you take the real thing, and they see if the real thing actually works or not by taking a placebo. But they're actually finding that Americans are actually more subject to it than other areas around the world.
Yeah, because I remember there was a research like a few years ago that says that the reason why it's because Americans get so unhappy when they go to the doctor and that the doctor is not prescribing them anything.
Well, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that does make sense.
It's almost like, you're going to have... As if like the doctor is not doing something. It's not.
Well, what they did here is say, yeah, exactly. You're not doing anything. You need to give me something. I need to have something. Something's got to fix this. And then they just push the doctor to prescribe something. The doctor's like, great. Yeah, here you go. Sugar pill. And you don't know what it is because it has some fancy name. But they had in 2021, there was a Danish meta-analysis of 180 drug trials. And it showed that in total, more than half of the treatment effect could be attributed to placebo. And then they had this guy, Jeffrey Mogil, PhD, who studies pain at McGill University in Montreal, published a paper in 2015, showed that the placebo effect had increased, especially in the United States. He posits that because American trials are often more expensive and hosted in nice clinics, the patient is conditioned to believe the medication must work. It's got to work. Cute. This is a really nice place. Yeah. The United States get this. The United States is the only country besides New Zealand that allows pharmaceutical companies to advertise prescription medication to consumers. I mean, so basically what's going on, they're walking in there, like Arlene's saying, going, you got to give me this stuff. This is the good stuff. And doctor's like, you don't need that stuff. And it's just like, it's kind of like when somebody walks in our office and goes, I want this mutual fund. And I'm like, good, go someplace else.
Why are you talking about me? No, kidding.
No, you're like Mr. Okay, listen intently to the show, and I'll quiz you on it later, and you'd pass. So anyway, the bill, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more throughout the show, but I think that's the whole thing about the prescriptions. I think that's interesting. It gives you a good rule of thumb why we don't bet on sectors of the market, because Washington can come in with some new bill, and they can mess everything up in a heartbeat. You come in with this 1% thing, and everybody's going to make a big deal out of it. It's 1% tax on buybacks, but it's everything that I'm saying, it's no big deal. The other thing, the 15% is just a couple of companies that are going to hit by it. It might have unintended consequences, and it might be an awful lot like that yacht effect. Remember that big tax on yachts, Arlene?
Yeah. Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
What happened to the yacht industry?
What happened?
It went to the toilet. Yeah. It sunk. So basically, and this was, okay, you may not remember this, but basically what happened is they came in and says, we're going to have a luxury tax on yachts. And wealthy people are like going, oh, a luxury tax on, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to buy yachts. And guess what? The yacht industry goes to heck in a handbasket, and then people stop buying them and they go, maybe this wasn't the greatest idea after all,
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
And then it changed, and then they went away, and then the yacht industry came back, and now you got yacht rock radios going strong because you got yachts.